Hi everyone, welcome to Eden's Secret. Today it's soap collab time again and I'm determined to be on time. It's called the 2020 YT Soap Collab Memories. So what we had to do is come up with a soap that is something to do with a favourite memory in your life. We were also supposed to try and make a silicone mould, but because I've left it too late, I forgot about that part. And so, basically, my favourite memories from just being a kid, really, and it has to be about Christmas. Every Christmas was just so magical. Even though we hardly had anything, I still felt all that magic at Christmas. When I was very young. So I'm doing a Santa soap today, and I'm not the first to create this. I have actually seen quite a few different versions of it, so I don't know who originally came up with the idea, but I think it's absolutely fantastic. So we're also meant to incorporate some soap dough. So I've got some soap dough here that I made last week. We won't say what this piece looks like, but we're going to need some red and some brown soap dough. And I'm just going to roll this out, because this is going to be Santa's eyes, and then he's going to have a red nose, which isn't quite rolled out to thickness. What I've got here, I might have far too much soap dough, but I just thought I'd use a big chunk of soap dough just to make sure I've got enough, then have to roll some more out and make an extra piece. It's proven a little difficult to roll out, this one. The red was much easier. I think I'll just snap it in half. Dough I've got, I might as well use some of that. We're getting there now. For one loaf. So I just had a strange thought. I've done 4 strips of the brown for the eyes, and I thought they actually all need to be the same width, don't they? Because if they're not, one eye's going to be bigger than the other. It doesn't matter so much for the nose because there's just one nose, but because there's 2 eyes, they literally have to be the same. So it's not easy to roll them out identical when you're doing it by hand like this, so using a straw probably would be a much better idea. And then we need to do 2 white ones as well, which will be bigger than these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash this work surface, squeeze these back up and put them in the soap dough bag. Sorry about the banging, the next door neighbour's doing something, but I don't know what. There's always someone banging around here. isn't it? Okay, so I'm just going to draw what we're doing here, and we're going to have a soap which is going to be made in my soap loaf. The first layer will be the black layer, the second layer will be the red layer, and it's going to have a scalloped top. The next layer above that will be white, and it'll have a scalloped top. Then we have the skin tone here, and we're going to have two eyes and a red nose here. The next layer will be a white layer for the fluff on Santa's hat, which will be scalloped on the top and the bottom, and then on the top whatever's left will be red, and it'll have a white pom-pom in the center. So I had to come up with a way to try and work out how much soap I'm going to need for each layer. So what I did was, the black layer, I divided the whole soap into sections. So I thought there's going to be 1, 2.5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5, 9.5, and then whatever's left goes on the top. So 10, basically 10 different layers. The first layer, bearing in mind what these weights I'm going to write now, they'll be divided into 2 because I'm doing 2 loaves of soap, not just 1. So the first layer is 557 grams. Remember, that's divided by 2, so half of that is going to go in this loaf and half in the other loaf. So we'll do that for every single layer. The next layer is going to be 1.5 times the size of the black layer, so I times this obviously by 1.5, and so for the next layer we need 835 grams. The next layer I divided again the bottom layer by 2.5, and so the weight of this layer is 1392 grams. Same for the next layer, and the next layer is times 2, so 557 times 2 is 1120 grams, and then whatever's left will go on the top as red. Okay, so for the next part I'm going to make a couple of scrapers. I just need 2, I think. So I've just took some nice strong thick cardboard and I'm cutting it down so it fits perfectly into my mould. That is a little bit tight because you want it to slide up and down your mould quite well. So I'm just going to trim a little bit more off the edge. So just test it, put it in there, make sure it slides okay. So I need 2, so I'm just going to cut this in half. And I just want a nice regular, just finding the center point there, and then half that and half it again, and then I'm going to make my curves just fit. And we're going to cut those. So again, that's just going to go in there and slide up and down, and then the other one needs to go the other way, so it'll be like a mirrored image. It'll be a mirrored image, so no, you can't use it like that, can you? It'll be like that. Just get those a little more perfect. Cut those off as well. Weird. Done it wrong, haven't I? No, I haven't. No, I haven't. Because that one... Yeah, that's right. Because I'm wanting to create this effect. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we're ready to blend. So what I'm going to do with the recipe, which is in the description box, is I'm going to halve what I've got in this container, so you can use it for just one loaf of soap. If you want to make two, then double it. If you want to quarter it, then you can. Okay, so we're going to add some black oxide to this first layer. Now black oxide is very speckly, so you will need to blend that in. So the fragrance we're going to be using today is Tinsel from Nature's Garden, or if you're in the UK or EU, it's available at Sell the Smells on Facebook. It's a really nice fruity fragrance. It says it discolours to tan, so it's not going to show up in the black at all. Okay, so for the next row we need 835 grams. $834 will do. And this row is going to be red, so I'm using the water dispersible red pigment from the Soap Kitchen. Some more fragrance. Just perfect red for doing this soap, isn't it? So we're going to pour it in there, and then we're just going to scrape it again. Have a look at the side and see if we're down to 4. We're not yet. So that's how I know round about the even measurement of getting those 2 layers the same on both soaps. That's all I need, isn't it? Then just pop your scraper in. Scrape it across like so. I'm not dipping it in too far, just dipping it in a little bit so we get So what we're going to do is we're going to add the titanium dioxide into both jugs. Doesn't matter about measuring it perfectly, because what we're going to have to do is pour one jug into the other a few times to get the colour exactly the same. And then we're going to pour 1.372 grams of batter into this new jug. And then put your fragrance into that layer, and then pour your white layer in next. Just give it a jiggle. Check the sides and see if the layer, see how far up the mould it is. Because you want them both to be very similar. Right, it's time to scrape, everyone.
Scraping, everyone.
Right, it's time for the face layer now. 1372 was it? Okay, so we're using this lovely creme de la creme mica from You Make It Up. Put a little bit in there first. I'm going to tape the nose, which needs unwrapping. Right down the centre. Now for the eyes. This is going to be the difficult bit. Okay, these soaps always take more soap than you expect. So it's time to scrape this layer. You might notice I had to mix up some more of the skin tone to put on the top of the eyes, because the eyes were going to be half in the face and half in the Santa's fluff on his hat. So that's left me short for Santa's hat. So I'm going to have to mix up so much of another batch, another percentage of the next batch. And I'll tell you what, I'm not keen on doing these soaps. They are hard. They're really hard work. It just stresses me out too much doing them. You never have the right amount of soap. When you're scraping the layer, you're losing so much soap. I mean, I know you can still use the soap that you're taking off there, but to me, that's still a waste. I mean, I've got all kinds of bits of soap that need using up, and to make a batch of soap, to waste a third of it or a quarter of it just doesn't make sense. Not in my head anyway. But honestly, my hat is off to all of those soap makers that do these soaps, because the job they're doing is outstanding and they're just so clever. I'm a little bit worried my eyes are too far apart, but we're not going to know that until we cut into the soap. So cross your fingers for me that it's going to work out okay. Right, I think it might be time to scrape again. So this time we're using the curve that goes down bank. You know, so it's like, yeah, you can use it for soap dough in the future, but realistically, how much soap dough do I need? I don't. So the next layer, which is the fluffy part of the hat, I've ended up having to make again, haven't I? So I'm probably not going to get the two whites exactly the same. But what I did was, I put 3 teaspoonfuls of titanium dioxide into all of that white that I made before. So I've mixed up 1.5 teaspoons here, and just hope that it works out the same. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pour it on to the level of the silicone liner, and then when it's thicker I'm going to build it up on the top. Because we'll be scraping again one last time. Okay, so this soap's nice and thick now, so I'm just going to lay it on down at the centre. And the same on the other side. It's going to need spreading out a bit. And then I'm going to try and scrape it. I'm surprised at how many cars are going past, because we are back in lockdown again, but it doesn't seem like it. It's not like the first time we went into lockdown, where it was really quiet and there was hardly any cars on the road at all. Ready to scrape this, so I better get a move on. So I did make 4 scrapers in the end, 2 of each, because obviously I forgot that like you're scraping red, you cannot scrape white when you've scraped red. Right, let's get this scraped, shall we? See how it works out. Probably won't be perfect, but what have I done that's perfect? I'm glad I'm near the end. Okay, so it's time to do the top layer. Thank God, thank you. We're nearly there now. So just adding some of that red again. Some of that gorgeous tinsel fragrance. Delicious. Let's blend, shall we? Okay, it's time to add the soap to the top of the soap to the top of the soap. So I'm just piling it along the centre, and as I'm doing that I just want to tell you a bit more about why I love Christmas. So at Christmas my mum would always hide all the presents behind the sofa, behind the curtains, you know, in different places around the sitting room and the dining room, and we would have to find them. So it was a bit like hide and seek, and it did just make it a bit more special having to try and find everything. And my mum would always say, there's three of us, there's two girls, one boy. My sister's called Jackie and my brother's called Adrian. And mum would say, it doesn't matter what you get for Christmas, you always end up with the colouring in books. And she's right, we would. But Christmas was absolutely wonderful, you know. Being very poor, getting really nice food to eat, and sweets and chocolates, and you know, all the delicious things that go along with Christmas dinner and Christmas food. Come New Year, there was never anything left, and we didn't have any money to get anything either. So New Year was always a bit... I mean, New Year was good in other ways, because we would go around the neighbours' houses, what you call first footing. So it was fun in that way. But yeah, Christmas is just magical, and I hope Christmas is magical for you. You know, yeah, we were really poor when we were little, but we were lucky enough to actually live in a house, and I know in other countries it doesn't actually work that way. There's a lot of people living in cars and things like that, and I just hope for a better Christmas for all those people. I mean, in this day and age, nobody should be living in a car. And you know how much I love Disney, but I did actually see a programme where a lot of the staff who work there, their wages are so low that they actually have to live in their car. And I think that's terrible when you think how expensive Disney is. I mean, everything you buy there is like double the price that it should be. So I'm just thinking about people like that aren't as lucky as we are. And I'll say some prayers. Well, I do say prayers for you, for people like that often anyway. So yeah, it's been a bit of a miserable year, but here's to hoping that 2021 is a lot better. My mum was going to be coming over for Christmas, but she's decided not to. She doesn't think it's worth the risk. She's a big worrier, my mum. I'm not like that at all. I don't worry about things that haven't happened yet. But that's just the way she is, and she can't help it. And you know, Jesus said it gains a man nothing to worry, and how true that is. I mean, I have other concerns in my life, but I'm not a worrier. You know, my mother, she worries every time we go out in the car, and if we're driving over to see her, she worries about that. She worries if we get a headache, which is something we get quite often. So one of the best Christmases I ever had as a youngster, I mean, I've had lots of nice things, but we're not extravagant in the slightest bit. To me, it's more about us all being together and you know, enjoying nice food and things like that. But one of the best Christmases I ever had, I was hoping to get a watch, but I was told you'd not be getting a watch because we can't get you one. We're getting you St. Christopher instead, which was a very popular necklace. I don't know if anybody remembers St. Christopher's, but it was a necklace that had a picture of St. Christopher on it. I'm sure you will, because they were massive in the 70s and 80s. And I was so gutted that I was getting this St. Christopher, because I built my hopes up so much that I wanted a watch. And when I got up on Christmas Day, I actually had a watch. And ever since, I've loved surprises. I'd much rather not know what I'm getting ever with anything. I absolutely love to get a surprise at Christmas. Well, whenever. So that was the best Christmas memory that I have, and it was tears all round. I was very thankful that day. There, so I think it's time to put the fluffy pom-pom on the centre, and I'm gonna see pop this soap. I've never done it before, but I've been watching Lisa from My Dreaming Soap, and then so I thought one of these days I'm gonna remember to do that, and today is the day. This little bit that's sticking out here, I'll chop that off once the soap's saponified. So I've preheated the oven at, again, you know, these red bits, they'll just wash off later after the soap's saponified. So yeah, so I've preheated the oven at 170 degrees, and then I'm going to pop the soap in the oven on the middle shelf. And I'm just going to leave it, turn the oven off, and then leave it overnight. And then we'll unmold in the morning and see how this has turned out. Right, is that in the centre? Yeah, it's pretty good. The only part I'm worried about is the eyes. I'm also worried about the part where you know, I've split the face, the skin. I'm a bit worried that the two, it might not be matching and look as though I've obviously put two separate batches in. That's what I'm a little worried about. So fingers crossed we won't have any of that. So my mum, she will be on her own on Christmas Day, but my brother lives in the northeast, and he's just going to take her some dinner up. She doesn't even want to go down to his, so that's how concerned she is. So she says everything will be alright for 2021 Christmas, it'll all be back to normal. And she's right, it will. So if you're going to be on your own on Christmas Day, I'll have a video for you to keep you company, and hopefully lots of other soap makers will as well. We're all thinking of you. So I wanted to show you this fabulous single wire acrylic. It's fully acrylic except for the wire and obviously the fixtures and fittings. And it's from NICOLE Craft Design in China, and they are on Etsy. I'll put a link to them in the description box below the video. They've got all kinds of wonderful soap making tools and loaves and cutters and planers and all sorts of fabulous stuff. What I love about this cutter is because it's fully acrylic. It's got a beautiful shine to it, and it's very, very easy to clean in every section. The top, the handle, the bottom. It's got this fantastic, which all soap cutters of this type have these. It's, you know, you can move it, adjust it for measurements. It's actually got the centimetres etched in here, so you know exactly what width to cut your soaps, and it's just really, really good quality. I love it. I'm really, really pleased with it because it'll clean well. Spare wire was sent. Yeah, really, really good. She's got some awesome stuff, and I love how a lot of our boxes, our love molds, have actually got NICOLE etched on the side. That's really, really cool. So please go along to her Etsy site, and if you do buy anything, I don't get anything for it. If you do buy anything, please let them know that I sent you. I'm sure lots of you have probably already bought from there in the past. It just lets them know that I have recommended them. So thank you, NICOLE, for this wonderful soap cutter. I'll be showing the soap planer in a future video. I'm not actually planing today, but I will be soon. Alright, let's get some soap cut. Okay friends, it's time to cross your fingers. cuts nicely. Did you notice it didn't ping? So what I'm going to do is the 4 end pieces, which are obviously going to be a lot more untidy. Oh! Oh, I love him! Oh, he is so cute! The hat's not as full as I would have liked, but I'm actually really happy. It could have gone so wrong with the eyes and the nose and everything. So yeah, I don't know where I got to because someone came to the door. So the 4 end pieces, I'm going to sell those off cheaper, but obviously there are only 4 of them. Mind you, I don't know how big the other end's going to be. Yeah, it's better than I thought it was going to be. Not as perfect as I'd hoped, but for a first attempt, I guess when people make soaps like this, they don't make 2 great big loaves like this, but and I really like the cutter. It's definitely not noisy, is it? I'm really happy with that. I'm just going to check the weight of those because they feel absolutely massive. They are. I'm going to shrink them down a little bit because they're so big. I'll have to charge more. And we don't want to do that, do we?
It's early Christmas morning when Santa rolls out of bed. It's early Christmas morning when Santa rolls out of bed. He rubs his tired eyes and lifts his weary head. He knows the day before him from so many times before. It's what he loves the most and will do forevermore. Oh, but no one's ever thought to ask what's in his heart. And if even Santa Claus has hopes and dreams, he goes into the workshop that's been burning the midnight oil. He greets all the busy helpers in the midst of their toil. He looks into the progress and it seems as every year.
Well, here we are, the 2020 YT Soap Collab Memories. I just want to thank NICOLE and Tash Rowe for this one. I don't know whether I'm looking forward to the next one or not because I found this really difficult. But anyway, I hope you liked what I created. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody else's collabs. This collaboration is an invite-only collaboration. So luckily someone invited me about 5 or 6 months ago. So there's a collaboration every quarter, so every 3 months it seems like. And I hope you enjoyed this video, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. This will be in the shop very soon, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye bye for now.